Cordelia Gray was just 22 when she had to take up the responsibility of a detective agency run by her partner, Bernie. He had killed himself as he was ailing from cancer. The detective agency was not a huge success. It was then that a famous scientist, Mr. Ronald Callender, approached her to solve a case for him. Let's see what the case is all about. This is going to be a very short review. I felt like I should do this because of P.D. James, the author of this book titled An Unsuitable Job for a Woman. I consider her as my guru, my teacher in the vast world of crime fiction, because one day, if God willing, I want to be a crime fiction writer. Her books and interviews did give me a different picture on how I should view crime fiction as a reader. So it surprised me that I did not review any of her books since I started this booktube. Hence this review. Mr. Ronald Callender's son, Mark Callender, who was a dropout from Cambridge, committed suicide, and the father wanted to know why he did so. After opting out of Cambridge, Mark had taken up a job as a gardener in the house of Marklands. He was living in a small cottage in their compound. When his body was found by the police, he was wearing a jeans and had a smear of lipstick on his lips. And for Cordelia, at such a young age, investigating a case like this with nobody to guide could be challenging. But you know what she did? She decided to shift to this cottage so that she could investigate the surroundings and also Cambridge. Wow, such a brave woman, right? So, before I talk about it further, hey, I am Shalet Jimmy. I am from India. I love books and I talk about them here. I am an avid crime fiction reader, hence they predominantly constitute my read and to be read list. But I assure you, I have other genres too. Welcome to Shalet Jimmy's Story World. From Miss Markland, Cordelia Gray came to know that a girl had visited Mark before his death. Inside the cottage, she found a freshly prepared stew and a coffee pot with coffee. Definitely not the signs that indicated that Mark was contemplating suicide. And then it dawned upon her that it was not a suicide, but murder. Let me tell you, this is not a typical murder mystery. What I expected was a fast-paced crime thriller, but what I got was something different that I have never thought of. And this book made me realize that a crime fiction should not always be a fast-paced thriller where you confront suspense at every turn. There are other ways you could write a crime fiction beautifully and effectively. This book is definitely a Cordelia Gray's story, though P.D. James's famous detective Adam Dalglish would make his entry in the end. I love this detective, so I hope I have not mispronounced his name. What I liked about this book is the sheer sincerity of the character. Our protagonist, Cordelia Gray, was not an expert like Sherlock Holmes or Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple. She knew that she was vulnerable and lacked experience, but that did not deter her from doing her bit. Besides, it was also her story of survival. It was clearly mentioned in the title, An Unsuitable Job for a Woman. Though many pointed out to her at the beginning that it was not an suitable job, it was an unsuitable job, she was adamant about taking it up. She might have lacked experience, but she was shrewd and she knew how to confront a person during an investigation. Since her boss was dead, she didn't have anybody to rely upon with her instincts and intuitions. Still, she went ahead and did her job perfectly. This is my first P.D. James's book, and I am so happy to know that this comes first in the list of her works which one shouldn't miss reading if you're an ardent murder mystery fan. And I have watched many of her interviews, and as I already mentioned, I proudly call her as my teacher because she had taken me to a different level when it comes to crime fiction. I'm sure I'm going to read this book again, and her writing was like honey dripping from a comb. I love this book and I recommend it heavily. You have to go and read this book if you love murder mysteries. So that's all for today. If you like my review, please like, share, comment and subscribe. God bless.